Stop. I can't take it anymore.
Oh, I do the live ones too. Yes, I know. I saw your act in the theater. You're really quite good.
Quite a certain harmful habit.
Stop it now, I need it.
Hello and welcome back. We are breaking up with our BS. This is episode number 91, if you can believe that. And I am Tawny Santabria.
And I am JDK Winnikin. How y'all doing today? I love that part in the song. Tonight, but if it is tonight, because you're listening to this as a podcast, wherever you can get this, and you can't get this, wherever you get your podcast, good evening. No matter what time of day, where you might be, how you might be feeling, thanks so much for joining us for another episode. We are here to debunk the junk. That is getting under all those stories that we tell ourselves in the various emotional states that we're in that don't really do us any good. And they just rob us of connection and ease and resilience, all the things that we know that we want in life, and somehow make it more difficult than it needs to be to get them. So that's what this show is all about. So whether you're joining us for the first time or the 91st, really happy to have you. If you'd like to know more and see more, we have a Facebook group at Breaking Up with RBS. We also have a YouTube channel of the same name where you can see video broadcasts of each of these episodes. Tawny also has a really cool 6-week self-mastery course that you can access at unperfectyourself.com, where you can apply all the things we talk about on this show in your own context. And on the second Saturday of every month, Tawny and I host a free Zoom workshop that introduces anybody who attends to the practices of getting into the body, and we answer any questions that you might have. So we do that every second Saturday. We're also continue working on our book project, and I love the pace that we're working at now. Tawny, we get to tease people with that, but it's kind of fun. So there's more to come, everyone, and we really appreciate you being here. I would love to hear from you and connect with you. So speaking of all that, Tawny, how are you?
How am I? That question always trips me up. I always think, okay, I'm going to be prepared for that one next time. And here I am again, unprepared. How am I? I am here. So
that's a start.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. So, we feel that pressure to say like, oh, great and fine. And yeah, it's wonderful. And all of the things. And true. But every moment can feel like a different state of being, actually. Right.
And it doesn't help when I'm putting you on the spot with a question like, how are you doing? Okay. Well, we're both laughing. So that's good. So, and again, as always so many things that we could talk about on here. So for this week, Tawny, what's come to mind for you that you'd like to discuss today?
Yes. You know how we love to pick a word and sort of like just kind of dig in and sort of wonder about it, but also kind of call it out a little bit,
Yeah.
and all of those
things.
Are
we going to do that today?
We are going to do that today.
All
yes.
Right. I'm so excited. What's the word?
And the word that I've just drawn, not really, I was thinking about it, but the word is manipulation. Ooh, that word. Yes. Hopefully, but no need to, feel that sort of like ick in your belly about this. We're going to talk about it in such a way that it's like, I don't know if you listen to one of our earlier episodes, I think it was called A Ruling on Judgy. It was episode number 44, where we sort of really talked about judgment and how we all are somehow afraid of judgment from other people. And we all are trying to make sure that we don't get judged by other people. And we're all trying to do things and be in ways where we won't get judged. Anyways, you get the drift. You can listen to episode 44 more about judgy, but we're going to do the same kind of thing with manipulation today.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah. Any burning thoughts to get us started, JD? Not that you have to have any, because I have them, but.
Okay. Yeah, I can tell you're ready to roll. I can hear it in your voice. And I can see it on the feed here.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much a thought, but just noticing a reaction. You said that icky feeling. That is not a word that brings up anything nice. when we,
Mhm.
or pleasant when we hear it, manipulation, because manipulation is something that we are not supposed to do, and when it happens to us, we are to be aggrieved, offended, hurt, and certainly we can feel all those things, depending on the type of manipulation we're talking about. It's also a really broad word that can get used in a lot of different contexts. It's also one that so many people use the term weaponize these days, and I hate using it, but it does sometimes get used in more contexts where I think it doesn't apply than it does. But that might be a whole separate thing. But the initial thing is that gut feeling, ooh, that's not a word we're supposed to like. And it's also not one that I would necessarily think would be open to this kind of examination. So I'm really excited intrigued, I should say, and
Mhm.
interested to see what we unpack here. All right, so let's go, Tawny. What do you think?
Okay. So yes, that term has been if we've got a good bucket and a bad bucket, that term is in the bad bucket. We can all agree on that one, right?
Okay.
So kind of like judgment has been in the bad bucket, right? And what we
Yeah.
discovered is that we all do this, right? So I do want to point out what you talked about. Sometimes that word is used when it doesn't probably apply.
Mhm.
And one of the ways, I do want to say this as a side note, one of the ways in which I hear a lot about this word is with parents with small children. Your small children do not and cannot manipulate you. So we want to just put that off to the side. That could be a whole nother episode.
It could. You do
Okay.
hear that a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You meaning
Okay.
me and you and we, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. But I'll also say, like, at its foundation, manipulation is about getting our needs met. It is about looking external to us, whether it's about another person or an experience, right? Or
Mhm.
people. And we've learned as children how to get our needs met. And then we become older people. And whether we're teenagers or young adults or, older than that, like ourselves. And we are still trying to get our needs met, right?
Mhm.
And whether that is one of our needs we've talked a lot about is staying clear of discomfort, meaning
Oh yeah.
I just want to be in the comfort zone. That could be a need,
Yep.
right? As basic as that. What other kinds of general and basic needs come up for you when I say that?
Oh, I'll just list out the ones that often come up the most: the need to feel safe, the need to feel heard, the need to I suppose safe and secure mean the same thing. Needs to be in relationship, in connection with each other, however we define that, whether it's really connection or not. To to have a purpose, to be going in a certain direction, to not be held back, to be free. These are just ones that are coming to me.
Absolutely. The need to be valued, the need to be recognized, the need to
Yeah,
be
validated.
all of those. Yep, all of those pieces. Some of those are basic foundational human needs, and some of those we've been conditioned to believe we need these things and that we need them external to us as opposed to being able to generate them internally.
Right. Right.
So, right. So if we've been conditioned to believe that we need these things and they come external, they come to us from an external source,
Mhm.
then we need to be in ways that exactly, we need to be searching for
We
this, and we need to
we
be
need to be
doing the
searching it.
things. Yeah, we need to be doing the
Mhm.
things that give us that,
Mhm.
right? So what are these things that we would be doing? We would be avoiding conflict, maybe. We would be people pleasing. We would be, trying to express, perfection so that we're noticed and
Mhm.
recognized. We would work, really work really hard, maybe to again be noticed, even though even though that might be burning us out. We're doing things to manipulate our externals so that we get what we want.
That gives us an internal sense of that. Those needs, if we're going to call them that, right? Which I suppose could be wants too, right? As opposed to quote unquote needs. That might be its own thing. Anyway, we'll stick with needs. Sorry, I'm not trying to muddy things.
Well, the trouble is well, we've got to look at our conditioning. We've been taught that we need certain things. So
Right.
we can certainly, in theory, come at it from, well, no, this is a want and this is a need. But if we've been conditioned to believe that we need recognition in order to support ourselves or whatever, or in order to stand out, in order to be special, in order to whatever, that really is going to, in the body, feel like a need, not a want. And we're going to engage with other people in ways that can offer us that, even at the detriment of the relationship.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yep. All right. So we're going to taking that apart. So this is something, the first thing that comes to mind to me with this is that this isn't something that should be in a good bucket or a bad bucket necessarily, because it's something that we do, right? We're not supposed to like judgment either. Like you said, episode 44, we talked about this, but judgment is something we do. So separating ourselves away from putting this in a good or a bad bucket in terms of just being able to see that we all do it is the first thing that we probably should recognize and sit with a little bit, right?
Well, yes, because if we can normalize it, I'm not saying that's like, oh, this is what we should be shooting for, but normalizing sort of what we've learned to do. Because if we can't see it in ourselves, if we don't look in ourselves and we continue to notice it in other people, oh, they're the manipulators, not me. Right? Then we're missing the full picture. Right. And not that anybody has to be labeled a manipulator. Right. Again, we've learned that we have to get our needs met in this world. And so we're working on trying to do this without a real depth of what's really happening here.
Right. Right. This is a combination of our searching, our seeking, and our maneuvering to get our needs met. And that's all part of this. The way we frame it, the way we understand it, like you said earlier. This is a need, right? That's what the message we've internalized. And then this is the process that we go through, the various types of dancing, depending on the relationship or what it is that we do to get those things met. We all do that, right? It's just the word manipulation has become so loaded with that negative connotation that it can keep us from being honest with ourselves that this is what we do because we don't like the negative label. And we don't want to see ourselves as a negative person or doing a negative thing. So for the sake of this, let's take that out of the good and bad bucket and look at it for what we're really doing.
Yeah, what we're really doing and what we're swimming in, because it's happening all around us, right? Even in the larger picture, we know marketing is manipulation, right?
Right.
TV shows, movies, things, they manipulate us in a lot of different ways. And right, lots of the systems that we're involved in manipulate us to believe certain things, of course, right? The school system, if a child is well behaved, they will be rewarded. It's as simple as that, right? So not trying to, bag on everything all over the place and it be a bad thing. It isn't. It's just the ocean that we're swimming in. So if we can see it for what it is, then if we want to make different shifts and changes in our life, like, okay, if I can have if I can have some of my needs, again, maybe we might decide, is it a need or a want? Because in contemplation, we might discover some things about ourselves. Do I really want to hang on to this? Or do I not want to hang on to this? Or what if I got that need met internally instead of having to rely on others to offer that to
Bingo.
me?
Bingo. Yeah, a huge one. Absolutely. Okay, keep going. Sorry, I was just
Mhm.
enthusiastically agreeing with you.
Right. So then we have we what do we don't have to manipulate any longer, right? We can
Right.
begin to start that, to feel that validation internally, or to feel that sense of knowing of self and trusting of self, that what's happening internally for me is my own bucket. What's happening internally for somebody else is their own bucket. And if we're all learning how to I want to say, like, clean and muddy up and do all the things in our
Mhm.
own bucket,
Right.
then when the blame, that sometimes we throw out and receive, would be a whole lot less,
It
and
would.
our relationships would be more transparent and direct and trusting, probably.
Right. And it occurs to me then, because then what's happening is, if you have that developing in your own sense of self, that honesty and that transparency, and then with other people, you might still be wanting certain things, or working towards things or building things, but you're doing it more transparently rather than manipulating, which really is doing these things without wanting somebody else to see it, right? Or admitting it or being honest about it. It's looking for an outcome without being truly upfront, either with oneself or with somebody else as appropriate, to what is actually going on and why you're feeling that way and what comes with that. Because of course, with that comes things that can be uncomfortable for us, vulnerability in particular, and the fact is if we ask for something, whether it's a need or a want or something like that, we have to be ready to hear no, or we have to know we could hear it. And we don't want that.
Mhm.
Generally speaking, that's the other side of this. We're manipulating to win, baby, right?
Mhm.
Not
Mhm.
to take the risk of losing, and the desire to have something arrive and be achieved or be gained, someone's favor, someone's recognition. That can be so much more overpowering and overwhelming than the true honest desire to say, you know what, I really need to be honest about this with myself or with somebody else. Because that might not bring
Mhm.
us what we want.
Right. And then we are very confused.
Yeah.
Not all of us, right? Because we're getting mixed messages. We can tell if we've got some awareness, we can tell when someone's not completely honest, or trying to be or project something that may not be what's really
Right.
going on. We
Right.
can tell, but we wouldn't necessarily know what we could tell, but
Hmm.
we can experience confusion or
Yeah.
distrust or
Hmm.
anything else that could get in the way of a trusting relationship or
Yeah.
building that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, the ability to sense when you're not getting necessarily everything there might be to know, and to a certain degree, that can be expected. I mean, I think sometimes we can expect too much in our relationships, that somebody's supposed to share more with us than they really need to, right? And that can be our own expectation of, well, I'm such a good person for this person. They should trust me. They should share this with me. I can help them. I'm I'm a good person for these things. At the same time, you can kind of with that kind of awareness, you can tell when that's happening, or you can tell when somebody's maybe not sharing everything, or even if it's just to go, okay, they're not comfortable going into that kind of detail there. But you certainly can tell when, from that kind of grounded awareness space, when something is being maneuvered or avoided, right? That type of thing.
Sure. And I would also, I guess I would add that it doesn't even have to necessarily be about sharing per se. It doesn't have to
Hmm.
actually be about what's said or what isn't said necessarily. Um, and then that's where we go back to the dance of things, because this I'm not suggesting that people have to share all the things
Yes.
because
Right.
because what's happening internally for one person is nobody's business but their own, right?
Agreed.
It's
Agreed.
it's when we're actively and maybe not consciously because we've learned to do this from a young age. It's when we're actively um, presenting differently so that we can get a need met.
That's exactly it.
That's the part that's the trouble. So not suggesting that we have to go out and, okay, everybody has to listen to everybody for as long as we need to get all of the information to be able to understand that. That would never even work, right? But our own inner awareness, if we've got some ability to understand this and what's happening and what we're doing, will allow for us to have some greater clarity around, okay, what is, how do I show up in reality here in this moment with this other person that I'm choosing this space with right now? I mean, it could be as simple as I got to go.
Yeah.
That could be what's real. I got to go. And however they
Yep.
feel about that is what they need to feel about that. Not did I make them feel a particular way because I had to go?
Exactly.
Or
Yeah.
I hope they feel this way because I had to go.
Right.
Or
Or because I'm treating them this way, I get this reaction, or they react this way. Yep. Uh-huh.
or I better not go because then they're going to, so I will stay here and listen and listen and listen, agree, even though I don't agree at all. And then I'll finally be able to get to go. Right.
Oh,
Right.
man. You just laid out this litany of scenarios and thoughts and kind of manipulative thinking and decision making that is so disconnecting from the moment. All of it. I'm just envisioning like an interaction, and everything you just laid out was within the thinking space of someone's mind going, what about da 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 da? And suddenly they're not only not there, but that other person isn't even there. It's the dance, it's the outcome, it's the how do I look good in this, or how do I, how do I get that need met, or whatever the case may be. And it's so subtle and so quick. It disconnects us from ourselves, the other person, and the moment we're in. And that is the fertile soil that we've talked about through every episode of this show, where BS stories arrive, flourish, spread, manipulate, and change things around for us, and really affect us negatively.
They do. They do. So we
Yeah.
want to be paying attention. We want to have time for reflection and contemplation and really looking at these ways of being that aren't ourselves. They're not really ourselves. We've learned to do this and be this in order to
That's right.
get by, or in order to belong, or in order to achieve success, or like again, be valued and
Yeah.
recognized, even though we're not even being ourselves.
Right. And it can be in things like even in a job, like, you're being asked to do certain things or perform a certain way or come across a certain way in a job. And if you're doing that because you're just needing to get paid, I suppose that's one thing. But if it runs counter to how you really are and involves a lot more of you giving something that you either don't have the stores to give or don't really want to, and you continue to do that, that's a trade-off. That's a trade-off. And at some point, if we want to be able in a situation like that, to be honest with ourselves about what we're doing to ourselves, and that we're not really being honest with everybody else around us. If we want to do that, we have to face the possibility of maybe making some changes, or some shifts in how we either do things, could even be up to leaving the job and doing something else. Not that I'm saying you have to do that in every job you're not satisfied in, because every job has something that sucks, but you know where I'm getting at there?
Yeah, I think that the point is really to be able to, the more we know ourselves, the more meaningful experiences we're going to be able to engage in our lives, because there's going to be some depth to them. So,
Mhm.
so again, instead of pointing the finger, manipulation, going back to that, like manipulation being in the bad bucket, nobody wants to be a manipulator, but everybody else is, right?
That's a BS
Just,
story.
right, like no, we're all doing this dance together, and it takes integrity to stand out from the crowd. It takes integrity to sort of say, okay, I'm going to step back from this. I'm not going to over I don't want to over promote myself in such a way that's not real, those kinds of things, or
Yeah.
over please in ways that aren't real, or, hide away even in ways that aren't real. Like I'm no longer going to do that in order to look a certain way,
Mhm.
because the more I know myself, I'm going to be able to just be and,
Mhm.
take it or leave it. But generally, the more we know ourselves, the easier life is, and the less problematic we become to others, and they
Yeah.
become to ourselves. Well, maybe
Right.
not the last one.
Well, and hopefully we're becoming more transparent in who we are and what we're looking for and what we would like from our lives, from ourselves and from the people that matter the most to us. And to have honest negotiation and back and forth and be able to accept both yeses and nos, you know?
Yeah, and that would take two people who are
Sure.
not going to, who are going to be aware enough to no longer manipulate. That would take both folks to do that.
Yeah.
So this is why we're debunking all the things so that folks can make
Yeah.
some choices around how they want to participate in their lives, that might free them up a little bit.
Absolutely. And then, if we, as we always say, if you have two people that can do that, and then you have more people that can do that, you not only have a personal effect, there's a community effect, and then there's a larger effect, right? This is the type of
Mhm.
thing that can improve human relations across the board. It's one reason why we do this and we believe in this so strongly to come in and do this every single week.
Mhm.
All right.
Yep.
Wow. Boy, we tore right through
Mhm.
that one. That was awesome. Okay.
Super
Another
fun.
another word lined up and mowed down. All right. So, well, anyway, thanks, Tawny, and thanks to all of
Mhm.
you out there for joining us for another episode of Breaking Up with Our BS. We will be back in another week with another episode with another series of things to talk about on how you can debunk these BS stories in your life. And until then, I am JDK Winnikin,
And I'm Tawny Santabria.
and hope you have a good week. See you soon.
Stop. I can't take it anymore.
Oh, I do the live ones too. Yes, I know. I saw your act in the theater. You're really